Hello and welcome. This video will not be one of my regular role guides. For those of you who really wants me to make the ADC and support guides, don't worry, they're coming. But currently there seems to be a lot of changes in Duo for Season 2, and I don't want to make a video that will be obsolete in 3 weeks. Instead, today I'm going to explain a central part of how Smite works. In Smite there are multiple stats that you can build. Some are self-explanatory, like attack speed, cooldown reduction and movement speed. You can see and feel these changes. Then there are those that you can understand what they are, even if you can't feel it, like defense and health. But there's one stat that a lot of people don't really get, and that is penetration. So what is penetration? Basically, penetration lets your damage past some of the defense built by the opponents. So to understand penetration, we first need to get a grasp on how defense works. This is the calculation used by Smite to calculate damage. You take the incoming damage times 100 divided by 100 plus defense minus penetration equals damage taken. To a lot of you guys, these numbers don't mean anything, so I'm gonna show some examples of how it works. I'm gonna start off with an easy example. Let's say there's a match with 2 level 1 Neiths on both teams, and neither of these Neiths have items. And let's say that the Neith on the left would shoot a basic attack at the Neith on the right. If we look at Neith's stats, we can see that her basic attack damage is 35 plus 2.3 per level, plus 100% of physical power. And because Neith deals physical damage, we look at the physical protection of Neith as well, which is 12 plus 3 per level. Using these numbers, we can calculate that Neith in level 1 has a basic attack damage of 37 physical damage, and in level 1 she also has physical protections worth of 15. The damage calculation that Smite uses is incoming damage times 100 divided by 100 plus defense minus penetration equals damage taken. If we put in these numbers, we get 39 incoming damage times 100 divided by 115 equals 32 damage taken. Instead of having the calculation in fraction form, you can have it in decimal form, and I'm going to talk a little bit later about why this is useful. So what happens when we add penetration to this calculation? We keep using these two theoretical Neiths. And a couple of minutes in the game, they are both level 10. The Neith on the left has bought one item, which is Aussie, which gives 15 penetration. The Neith on the right, on the other hand, has bought no items. If we calculate the stats now, we can see that the basic attack damage from the Neith on the left is 58 physical, and she has 15 penetration, while as the defense on the Neith on the right is 12 plus 13, which is 42. So let's calculate the damage from one basic attack again. Now there's 58 incoming damage times 100 divided by 100 plus 42 minus 15, and that is 46 damage taken. To see the difference penetration makes, I'm gonna do another calculation, but now I'm gonna remove the 15 penetration. And that would lead to 58 incoming damage times 100 divided by 100 plus 42 equals 40 damage taken. In Smite there are 4 types of penetration. One of them is percent reduction. You can find this, for example, on the Executioner. The second one is flat reduction. You can find this on example the Void Shield or Anhur's passive and Feeble. There's also a percent penetration, which you can find on the Titan's Bane, and flat penetration, which you can find on, for example, Aussie. If a god were to be hit by multiple types of penetration, this is the order that they would be calculated in. The difference between reduction and pure penetration is that reduction reduces the enemy defense, and penetration just ignores it. This means that reduction actually helps your team out as well, in case you have another god with the same damage stat. But having multiple of the same reduction items on the same team can be a waste, because reduction items has a max limit. For instance, Executioner can only stack 3 times per enemy. Another downside to reduction is that it doesn't affect structures, like phoenixes and towers. To show how these different types of penetration affect each other, I'm gonna take the Neith from the previous example. This time she's up against an Emir. Both Neith and Emir are level 20, and both have bought items. Neith has 6 items. You can see the 6 items on the bottom left side of your screen. The red numbers are the amount of physical power she gets from the items, the yellow numbers are penetration, and the orange numbers are reduction. On the Emir side of things, the green numbers are magical protection, and the blue ones are physical protection. If we calculate the basic attack damage of Neith, we can see that it's 256. And Emir has 159 physical defense. So let's start calculating damage. The first time Neith attacks, Emir doesn't have any stacks of the Executioner on him, which means there is no reduction. So let's see how much protections the penetrations ignore. First we take the percent penetration, and then the flat, which means first we remove 33% of Ymir's protections, and then remove 15. If we take 159 times 166 minus 15, we get about 90. Now keep in mind that all these numbers are rounded because there's no point of showing you 400,000 decimals. So as far as the incoming damage is concerned, there's only 90 protections on Ymir. So we take 256 times 100 divided by 190, and that gives us 135. So in the first shot, Ymir took 135 damage, and it also applied the stack of the Executioner. So in the second hit, Ymir already carries a stack, which means there is reduction involved. So first we calculate the reduction. There's 8% and 6 flat, which means there's 159 times 0.92 minus 6, which gives us 140. This is the amount of physical protections Ymir has now. No matter who hits him, he's gonna have 140. And then we add the penetration. 140 times 0.66 minus 15 gives us 77. So as far as the incoming damage is concerned, Ymir now has 77 protections, which gives us 259 times 100 divided by 177, which gives us 144. For every basic that Neith hits, she adds another stack of the Executioner until Ymir has 3, which is the limit. This process of applying stacks starts all over again when the stacks are reset. Now there is one exception to this rule, which is true damage and true mitigation. These are very rare in the game. You can find true damage, for example, on Bakasaurus 3, and true mitigation on Athena's ult. This means that if there's 50 incoming true damage, your damage taken will be 50 as well, because there is no way to mitigate it, except for true mitigation, which in Athena's case mitigates 20% of the damage taken after all the other mitigation. If the Neith in the first example was under the effect of an Athena ult, she would only have taken 27 damage. There's one more thing I'd like to say before I end this video. Do you remember earlier how I said you can convert the fraction form to decimal form? This is useful when you want to calculate how much defense you should build. Because of the way defense works in Smite, defense loses in value the more you get. For example, if you go from 0 to 25 protections, you reduce 20% more. From 25 to 50, you only reduce about 17% more. From 50 to 75, you only reduce about 9% more. And from 75 to 100, you only reduce it by 7 more. This is a little more advanced, and if you want to explore it yourself, I'm gonna link this spreadsheet made by Kret in the description. That's all I have to say about defense and penetration. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Have a glorious day.